Tonight, former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn supposed to receive his sentence earlier today, but the judge delayed it. A former federal prosecutor joins us to discuss what it all means for Flynn, the Russia probe, and the president. And speaking of the president, Trump again attacking the media. But this time, he's talking about getting the courts involved. The latest straw? A skit on SNL that he didn't like. The Washington Post media columnist weighs in. Also, a disturbing look at hate crimes. We visit a community that's been victimized, and we'll speak with a rabbi who says the climate that we're in is worse than he's ever seen. Good evening and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French, and thank you for joining us this evening. Now, a federal judge has delayed the sentencing of Michael Flynn, but before doing that, Judge Sullivan had some extremely harsh words for the former National Security Advisor. The judge saying that Flynn committed a very serious offense, also telling Flynn, arguably, you sold your country out, and saying to Flynn that he committed a very serious crime. You can't minimize that. I want to remind you what Flynn actually did. Flynn, he lied about his contact with the Russian ambassador, Sergei Kislyak, during the transition in 2016, where they discussed, among other things apparently, sanctions. Obviously, that's a very important topic to gloss over. Flynn also lied about lobbying work that he did for Turkey and the $500,000 he earned for doing it. Flynn was paid to help influence the U.S. government to extradite a Turkish cleric living in Pennsylvania to Turkey. Now, the Turks say that cleric was behind a coup. It's not hard to imagine what would happen to that cleric if he was sent back to Turkey. But despite all of that, Flynn's attorneys and supporters and President Trump's legal team, they have continued to blast the prosecutors as well as the FBI. Here, Trump's attorney and chief apologist Rudy Giuliani this past Sunday.
I am disgusted with the tactics they have used in this case. What they did to General Flynn should result in discipline. They're the ones who are violating the law. They're looking at a non-crime collusion. The other guys are looking at a non-crime campaign violations, which are not violations. And they are the ones who are violating the law, the rules, the ethics, and nobody wants to look at them.
Trust me, Rudy, one of the few people in the legal community who shares that opinion. Now, Flynn's attorneys also said the FBI tried to set a perjury trap, but Bob Mueller, he was having none of that. Rebuking it in a recent court filing, here is part of what he said. Quote, a sitting national security advisor, former head of an intelligence agency, retired lieutenant general, and a 33-year veteran of the armed forces knows he should not lie to federal agents. He doesn't need to be warned that it's a crime to lie to feds. And in court today, Flynn admitted he knew lying to the FBI was a crime, and he didn't challenge the way that the FBI conducted the interview. By the way, President Trump, he sent a tweet this morning, of course, and he supported the man that he fired. Quote, good luck today in court to General Michael Flynn. Will be interesting to see what he has to say despite tremendous pressure being put on him about Russian collusion in our great and obviously highly successful political campaign. There was no collusion. Now, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders, she had this to say about the case during a rare press briefing, the first one she's given in weeks. Take a listen.
What we do know that was inappropriate by own self-admittance of James Comey is that the FBI broke standard protocol in the way that they came in and ambushed General Flynn, and in the way that they questioned him, and in the way that they encouraged him not to have White House counsel's office present. And we know that because James Comey told us that, and he said that the very reason that they did it was because the only reason that they did it, it was the Trump administration, and they thought they could get away with it. Those are facts, and certainly there may be other issues there, but that we don't have any reason to want to walk that back.
That is not what Comey said, and those are anything but facts. Now, besides Flynn and his crimes, the Mueller probe is also looking into campaign finance violations. In fact, Donald Trump's former attorney and fixer, Michael Cohen, just like Flynn, by the way, cooperating with the feds, he's heading to prison for that, among other things. Now, during the campaign, Cohen, he arranged hush money payments, as you remember, to porn star Stormy Daniels and a former Playboy playmate, Karen McDougal. Those women say they had affairs with Trump. By the way, prosecutors say the purpose of those payments was to influence the election and impact the voters. Obviously, some serious stuff, but not to Rudy Giuliani. Once again, let's listen.
They're going to go try to look for unpaid parking tickets and see if they can nail them for unpaid parking.
Well, as you know, the Southern District said this is far more serious than an unpaid parking ticket. They said this strikes at the heart of our democratic system.
Oh, right. A campaign finance violation? Give me a break.
Now, just a reminder, those violations that Rudy's brushing off, like their parking tickets, they're called felonies. All right. So with that backdrop here, when we come back, we're going to bring in good friend to the program, former federal prosecutor Barrett Bergen, to discuss Flynn, the Mueller probe, the White House attacks on said probe, and much more.